Oh my goodness, I'm recording as well. I feel like
Oh,
because this one is called Lord John Marbury, I want to speak in a British
do the
accent.
British accent. Right, right,
But
right. Well,
I
yours
will
is much better than
refrain.
mine, so it'd be okay for you, but I'm gonna refrain.
Okay.
Um,
I'll do
so,
Southern. We could swap. No, that's okay.
um,
All right.
episode 11, Winging
Woo!
It.
Winging it.
Welcome.
Welcome, Lord John Marbury.
Da-na-na,
Da da da
da-da-da,
da da da
da-da-da.
da. There's some
Oh,
modulation going on.
I hope
Um,
everybody appreciates it as much as I do because I don't even know how you feel about it, but I love that. So, I'm gonna keep doing it just for
yeah,
me.
yeah. And I'm sure nobody jumps ahead because
No,
it's like the Olympics. It's like when you hear the
I think so. I think it's exactly like the Olympics. I think you just hit the nail on the head with that.
That's the only time I ever hit nails on the head because when I try to actually do that, I miss completely. Well, welcome to episode
Well,
11.
we've got a lot to talk about.
There's we meet some delightful characters. There are some major things happening. How'd you feel about the
Uh-huh.
episode in general, Sally?
I really like the episode. I thought it was a really solid episode, so I'm excited to talk about it. There's a lot going on in a lot of different. I mean, there are funny storylines. There's serious storylines. I thought it was an all around winner.
All it does is win, 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 no matter what. Sorry. Okay, so what? Let's jump right in. Let's break it down now. TikTok. Who's doing what? What's going on?
We opened on like a reconnaissance office. Did I say I don't know if I say that right, but in like
That's what I
an
put.
important building.
Yes.
And something's going on. We don't really know what yet, and then we take it
True.
to the Pentagon. Essentially, the whole opening scene is telling us that something is going on.
Something's going down.
So yep, something's going down that we don't understand right at first. We get taken away from that because Josh gets a subpoena. There's a lot that happens just in the intro. I even wrote that down. Like, there's a lot. When the credits started rolling, I was like, wow, what? We haven't even
What?
seen the intro yet? Like, that was a lot that happened.
Yeah, it was a recon office, and then it was the Pentagon. It was like, I don't know what's going on, and then let's move to another location, and I still don't know what's going on. But I think
Yeah. Well, and
that
then we
was
went
the
to the
point.
West Wing and then Josh got subpoenaed, and then we went back to the situation room. So, like, there was a lot going on in this
It's
intro.
true. I love it
Um,
that Josh said, I've been subpoenaed, and then Mrs. Landingham says, oh, I'm sorry, dear. Would you like a cookie?
yes. I love Miss Landingham offering her cookies.
I just think we should have a whole coffee table book of just things that Mrs. Landingham says. Don't you
Yeah, I
think?
think that'd be great. Yeah.
I think Urban Outfitters should sell it.
hmm we also have a cute Josh and Donna moment, or I don't know if it's cute because Josh is wanting her to caddy, and I don't think she should do that.
It is an interesting thought.
Donna, you got better things to do with your time than carry around Josh's golf clubs.
Yeah, physically or emotionally. You don't carry his baggage, Donna. Mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah. So that happens, and then he gets subpoenaed, and then Miss Landingham gives him a cookie, and then we go to the Situation Room. Bartlett's asking a lot of questions. He's helping us out with a lot of the explanation of this episode.
Thanks,
Um,
Bartlett.
yeah, and we find out that India has essentially started a war with Pakistan. In broad strokes, that's what's going on, sort of.
Sure, sure.
India has like sent troops where they shouldn't be, and that's what's going to happen.
300,000 troops.
Yeah,
This is a big.
300,000 troops, not just like a couple guys.
Yeah, this is. I don't even know if you could call this a skirmish. I feel like there's a number that it needs to be below for it to be a
Yeah,
skirmish, as opposed to some sort of invasion or war. But
right.
yeah, and the
Um,
CIA dropped the ball.
yes,
And
which Barley gives a great line. He says, "Pick it up again, would you please?" And it's
yep.
funny because like that statement in itself, I mean, he says, "Would you please?" Like he's not really being that menacing, but his delivery of it is very menacing, and you're very
Oh
much like,
yeah,
"Oh, okay." Like makes your palms sweat for the CIA guy.
yeah. It was
Very, very nice line.
pretty baller.
Yeah,
Oh, and okay, so this is when it goes to the theme song, which we already sang, so we don't need to do that
right.
again. But I liked that video you sent me this week of the theme song as
How
sung with
great was
words.
that?
That's
Yes,
wonderful.
West Wingers. If you haven't seen this, people listening, you need to YouTube right now the West Wing theme song with lyrics because it is hilarious and beautiful and just a masterpiece. 2 big thumbs up to whoever did that because I'm a little bit obsessed.
We're probably gonna have to message them and let them know about our podcast and
Yeah,
see if
I
they'll
think
let
so.
us use their intro for our intro.
That would just be amazing. I mean, because it's just too funny. It's too great. It makes me angry that I didn't think of it.
I'm not mad at you, Sally. You know, we're each given different gifts, and theirs was just writing lyrics to that theme
Phew.
song. There's still
Yep.
time.
Yep.
There's still time.
I appreciate that support.
Anytime. Janelle Maloney is still a guest star at this point, just pointing out, which is Donna. Then we cut to, they're all meeting in the Oval Office. And Toby says, aren't they supposed to spot them before they cross the border? And they're like, yep. Oops. CIA, dropping the ball. Bartlett doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So this is the interesting event, is that Zoe, little
yes,
19-year-old Zoe, coming into Charlie's office.
Yeah, she does.
She straight up asked that boy out.
Yeah, she does. I love this. I just think it's just so cute. And Charlie's face, like during this scene, is just when he realizes that she's asking him out, his face is just very, very priceless. It's just like he starts like grinning, like, wait a minute, because you're asking me out. And it's very cute, and they're very cute, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty great. See, I mean, this is like a whole different topic entirely. I feel like girls can't ask boys out. But I liked the scene. I liked it because it's so surprising and intriguing. I don't know.
I think girls can ask guys out. I think it just all depends on the girl and the guy. And it just depends. Like I personally wouldn't ask a guy out. Not because oh my god, I wouldn't do that. That's not good. But like
even
know,
Sam Seaborn,
personal thing,
or Josh Lyman.
Yeah, because I want a dude. Call me old fashioned. I am old fashioned, but I want a dude to like man up and like pursue me. And I think that when guys are really into girls, they do that. So I think that's like when a guy sees a girl or like knows a girl that he really likes, they ask them out. Like
true.
I don't know.
I'm with you on that, but then where would we be with Charlie and Zoe? It would just never happen, or would it happen in like 2 years?
I don't think that. Well, I think that's kind of a different situation because I think Charlie would feel. I don't know that Charlie would assume he could ask out the first daughter. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird, that's a weirder dynamic. And
it's like the only person you shouldn't ask out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think girls can ask guys out anytime. I think it's just a personal preference. You know what I mean? I know other friends who have asked guys out, and it's worked out fine. So
yeah, she probably just has to, because she's got like an invisible fence around her because of
force
her
field, right?
Yeah. So way to go, Zoe. Way to just
yeah, go ahead, Zoe.
Put it out there. Go ahead, get that, girl. I loved it. So then from there, Josh and Sam have a walk and talk about Josh being subpoenaed, and Sam said, you should really bring a lawyer. And Josh says, I am a lawyer. Sam says, you should bring a real lawyer. Thanks for the pep
I like
talk.
that. I wrote that down too. It's funny because you don't think about Josh being a lawyer. Like when Bartlett several episodes ago says something about there's 27 lawyers in the room. We don't think about how many of them have their actual law degrees. Kind of funny.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to hang out at law schools more if we want to find like smart cookie boyfriends.
Yeah. I'm definitely down with that.
That sounds like the plot to Legally Blonde. Scratch that, guys. I'm not doing it. I promise.
So in the middle of Sam and Josh's walk and talk, Mandy comes in, and does Josh call her? I feel like Josh calls her Madeline.
Yes,
and I would not have guessed that that's her name, Madeline.
I don't know. I'm just making Hanson references. Yeah, he called her some sort of full name.
Yeah, but I noted that Mandy actually makes it through this whole scene without being hysterical. She has a conversation with Sam, and it's very level-headed. So it's good that they've sort of toned down. Well, I say that just in this one scene.
Yeah, they toned it
They've toned
down.
down the crazy.
But she's asking if she can bring on another client, A.
Yeah.
And B, the client is a Republican. So, yes, she's not hysterical, so I didn't mind it, but I was just completely confused as to, okay, can you really have more than one client when your one client is the president?
Right. You're literally, like, you work in the White House. It's not, I mean, I just don't see White House staffers really taking on, like, freelance jobs.
Is she a 1099? Like, is she not a full-time employee?
That's
Is she
a good
just, like,
question.
is she an IC? Like, I don't understand the tax structure here. Or
Yeah.
it's just a weird premise, but I kind of liked it because it seems to me like it's signaling an exit strategy for her. So,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
okay.
A-okay.
Yeah. So then this is the big deal.
Yeah, we forgot to mention earlier that in the Oval Office scene we mentioned earlier that CJ comes in while they're talking about this India-Pakistan thing, and she essentially asks if there's anything else going on, and she says she's going to tell the press it's a full lid. So CJ goes into the press briefing thinking that nothing is going on.
Mm-hmm. Bad
which
news.
Is not true.
Because she gets the question in the press briefing. She doesn't know anything about it, and she flat out denied it, and it makes her look so bad. And it was not her fault.
She flat out denies it. She, like, mocks the guy saying it, and it's just bad. And then we pan to Toby, and there's he's just got this look on his face of, like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Of, like, oh, this is not good. And you can just tell already that he knows it's not going to be good.
Yeah, and she's having to wear a pink jacket, BT dubs. So, I mean, between deciding to brief her later and just making her look like an idiot wearing a pink jacket, I mean, she's having a rough day.
Yeah, it's just not a good day for CJ.
No, and it's not a good day.
Night.
It's not a good day for Josh either. He's being interrogated or, subpoenaed. And it's weird because he's being very cocky, but he's having to kind of acquiesce and go along with this, very official and serious business. He has this weird moment in the scene where he's, like, fixing his tie, and it's strange. I don't know. It's kind of prolonged and out of nowhere, but
I don't remember it, but it's funny that you mentioned that because there are other weird, there are weird camera moments in this episode. And I don't know, like, if it was directed by somebody different, but, like, in the beginning, there's a shot of, in the Situation Room, when I was talking about the CIA director, there's a really weird shot that's super close up of the CIA director. His face takes up, like, half the screen, and Bartlett is, like, semi out of focus in the background. And it's a very non-West Wing stylistic choice. Enough so that I wrote it down. And then there's a scene with Josh, and I missed which one you're talking about, but there's a scene with Josh where he's, like, looking right into the camera, but it's not during his, like, because he's on camera. And so at some points we see the sort of deposition camera view, but this is a different time. It doesn't have that camera, that grainy feel, and he's looking right at the camera. And that was a little strange also.
True.
So maybe there was a different director. Maybe that's,
you're right.
Maybe something, I don't know.
You're right. I think most of the episodes are directed by Tommy Schlamme, and this one was directed by Kevin Rodney Sullivan.
Look at that. So that's pretty interesting.
Good call, Sal. Good call.
Thanks.
But yeah, it was kind of strange. And then in Josh's scene, he's just like, he's basically trying to make them feel like this is the dumbest subpoena deposition ever. And he's like, "Will somebody please offer me some coffee?" Like, he's just kind of being a diva.
Josh is very sort of boyish. You said sort of cocky. I think he's just got, boyish is the best word I can think. Almost like Peter Pan syndrome.
Yes.
Which I say because they refer, this is just a fun little tidbit, but Charleston in South Carolina is referred to as Never Neverland because there's a lot of guys there that have that Peter Pan syndrome. They're like fully grown men, but they're still very boyish.
Nashville,
and
too.
Josh gives off that vibe as well, but not in a bad way. But sometimes it comes across as more annoying. Like in the deposition moment, you're like, all right, Josh, come on, put on your big boy pants. But at the same time, you're sort of cheering for him because he's doing it to back up Leo. So
Yeah, it's great.
Which I guess is that we should mention that's what he's being deposed for, is
Yes.
they're essentially trying to find out information about his investigation about the drug allegations.
Investigation being a very loose air quote
Yeah,
sort of term.
really. Yeah.
I love how each episode builds on one another. It's not like Law and Order where there's, a new plot line and then it's done it's not like it's done
Right.
each episode. So it's interesting. There's like a longer through line and then there's a shorter one, and it's great. It's wonderful.
Yep.
And then we've got Toby is in the Roosevelt room, and what's the name of, there are two guys. Is it like Ralph and Frank? Or Ralph and somebody? There's these like two guys who are throughout the whole series.
Let's find out. Let's ask the Google. I know who you're talking about, but I don't ever know their names.
Yeah, me neither.
But they are throughout the whole series.
But they're probably only in like how many episodes per season? Like
not many.
Like 4? Not a ton. And not big
a ton.
Scenes. It's gonna be interesting for them as working actors. Hopefully they're still
Ed
working.
and Larry.
Ed and Larry. I was way off.
I knew those names. I can't believe I forgot. Ed and Larry come in and out of the series.
And they're communications guys, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're in Toby's jurisdiction. It's there's a great back and forth with Sam and Toby where Sam's trying to gauge Toby's temperature about the whole Mandy situation and about her possibly going to work for this Republican. And again, I wrote down the entire thing, but you should just watch it because it's hilarious. And I love Toby.
I think it leads up to a little moment I noticed that Toby was very rude to Miss Landingham for a second.
What?
That he walks in and Miss Landingham literally goes, or Sam came in and said, hello, hey, Miss Landingham. And she says, hello, Sam. And then she says, Toby, are you not going to say hello? And he very shortly and snappily replies, yes, hello. And then goes back to talking to Sam. And I was just like, Toby, you little monster. But it's because he's so caught up in what Sam's talking about. Sam's talking about this Republican thing. And he's like, no. He's not paying attention. But still, I don't like that. You don't be rude to Miss Landingham.
Don't cross Sally. She'll take you down like Tanya Harding. Yes, and then we're in the Oval Office, and Bartlett wants to bring in Lord John Marbury, the India expert. And
Leo hates.
And Leo said, we're going to let him into the White House. What about our drinks and our women? Something like that. And Bartlett goes, we can hide the women, but the man deserves a drink.
Yes.
Oh, man.
That's a great line.
And Leo hates him. And it's fun to watch. So.
It is really fun. They're good opposites. Leo and what's his name are good sort of foils for each other. And it is entertaining to watch Leo sort of get, I don't know if he's like jealous, like he just doesn't like him. And I think he doesn't like that the president wants his opinion and all that stuff.
Well, Lord John Marbury is he's a great character. He's kind of like, he's a big, colorful character, kind of like on Parks and Rec with John Ralphio. Like, he's just a little bit of a buffoon.
He's outlandish. Right.
He's outlandish. He's not really a buffoon. This guy's smart, but very, very colorful, which is fun to watch on a straight-laced.
He's an exaggeration of, like, what his character would, I mean, he's an exaggerated character. He's not realistic, I guess.
You never know. I'm sure there are plenty of Lord John Marburys just floating around in society.
There probably are. But do they get to advise the White House?
Yeah, and then he said, like, how was your flight over? And he's like, intoxicating. Like, he's just crazy. And he's met Leo like 12 to 14 times, and he calls him Gerald, and it's great. We see him more than once throughout the series, so
yes,
just hang on to that. So then Toby goes to visit CJ to try to smooth over this situation, the fact that they kept her out of the loop, and that's basically her job. So,
this episode is interesting for Toby and CJ, and we've talked about this before about them having sort of moments that aren't really moments, but just like whatever. Well, it is a little bit of digging, and it turns out that apparently in some interviews, Richard Schiff and Allison Janney have actually said that, like, they sort of played the characters as if they had a history between them or had more of a bond, which is why, because the dialogue itself doesn't necessarily imply anything, but it's the way they look at each other and the way they deliver the lines that makes you feel like, what's going on here, you know? Not to a big extent, but just a little bit. And this is one of those episodes, I think, because, you know, he knows CJ's mad. He wants to sort of figure out a way to fix it, et cetera, et cetera. So I just thought that was interesting.
I do like that. Good research, Sally.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. The internet, it's great. It's a wonderful place.
It's
like a warehouse of information, just ready for the taking. Yeah, he says that there's a concern you're too friendly with the press, and she said something like, you sent me in there uninformed, so I wouldn't lie to the press. And he said, we sent you in there uninformed because we thought there was a chance you couldn't. Which, that's a little disturbing to think that
it's a little
sometimes
intense.
They have to lie to the press, right?
It is a little disturbing. I mean, it just depends on the situation, like for matters of national security, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's all for a reason.
Yeah, yeah. But my thing is that, like, as the public, like, would I feel any better? Sometimes they send her in there blind on purpose. The options are you send her in there blind on purpose and she really doesn't know, so she's not lying. Or you do send her in with knowledge and she just either not lies, but just says, you know, I can't say anything. And, like, from the public's perspective, her just not knowing, like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it would matter either way to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like if she didn't...
either way, hire people up, know something's going on that you're not telling us. So, like, it doesn't, like, let her lie or let her not know, but, like, we know the truth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but...
It's the deniability. They say that ignorance is, like, they do that, well, we won't do spoilers, we won't talk about it.
Yeah. But, like, it doesn't make me feel any better that the press secretary didn't lie because somebody at the White House just made the decision. Like, it doesn't make me feel better about the whole thing because, you know, somebody higher up still knows what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but fast forward to the next scene with Charlie and Bartlett.
Yes.
Talking about Zoe. Charlie asks permission, essentially.
Yeah, talk about intimidating. You're asking... not only your boss, but the president of the free world if you can take his daughter out on a date.
Right. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. He said, I should have locked her in the dungeon. I could have built one. He says that, like, multiple times throughout the episode.
He does.
About
the dungeon joke goes on throughout the episode, and it's pretty cute.
Yeah.
It's fun to see him be protective.
Yeah, I watched this one with my dad, and he always seemed to chuckle at the dungeon references. I'm doing this podcast from a dungeon, by the way. So, maybe that's why he thought it was funny.
So that's cute, but Bartlett says yes. I mean, well, does he not until later?
Yeah. But he eventually says yes.
He doesn't until later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then there's some sort of Bartlett, Leo, something in the Chinese ambassador. Wait, not Chinese ambassador.
Pakistani. He's the Pakistani ambassador, but he's also in Mr. Deeds, and he was like a funny character. I can't remember what his deal was, but he was a weird character. So it was a little hard for me to take him seriously. But yeah, he talks to the Pakistani ambassador.
Yeah, and I kind of just spaced out for the whole scene. I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Here's my interest in politics really not coming through. Mandy talks to Sam about the whole thing about her wanting to take on a client.
Mandy wants to take on Mike Brace as a client.
Is there another Mike Brace?
Not in the House of Representatives, no.
She understands he's a Republican, right?
Yeah, she's a pretty bright girl.
Oh, I'm gonna kill her.
So you're saying no way?
Yeah, that's a big 10 for her.
Yeah. I like that little exchange.
But not...
Like, yes, Josh.
But not bright enough to not ask this entire question.
Yeah.
It's weird. There's more of, like, Bartlett struggling with the idea of Zoe and Charlie.
Yeah, Bartlett talks to Leo about Zoe and Charlie, and Leo says, is it a race problem? And Bartlett's like, no, of course not. And then Leo says, it's okay to admit it if it is. It's really not okay to
no,
admit
it's not.
If it is.
I know.
It's really, I mean, really, Leo? Like, really? Is it okay for him to be like, oh, yeah, it's because he's black? No. Like,
yeah.
it's not. It's not.
And
I thought it was odd that he would even ask that. I mean, I would think Leo would know Bartlett well enough to know that it's not a race problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, true. I thought that was
I get that, like, maybe
strange.
we wanted to address it in the show, but Bartlett sort of addresses it later when he says, well, we'll get to that later, but Bartlett sort of addresses it later. I thought it was a weird place to put that in that context.
Yeah, and obviously it's not Bartlett being racist. That would be
No.
terrible. But
It's not at all. It's because, like he says, Charlie's a guy. I mean, he just doesn't want her dating anybody at all.
right. But it does
so
set
it-
up
ugh, I
it
don't
does
know.
set up the fact that some people, not Bartlett, but some American citizens may not like the appearance of it because they're racist and stupid. And that might set up some more plot points down the road. So I think
It
that
does, but I think that, and this wasn't that huge of a deal, but I think because Bartlett, I mean, we'll just skip ahead, it's whatever. But later, when Bartlett sort of gives Charlie permission, he says, there's going to be people who aren't happy about this. And I think we
Right.
could have had that information and that revelation without
Right.
Leo having said, it's okay if it's a race
Yeah.
problem.
Without Leo giving Bartlett a get out of jail free
Yeah.
racist
'Cause, like,
card.
Bartlett could have just known that would happen and addressed it with Charlie
Yeah.
separately. It was just weird. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was
Whatever.
strange. And there were some like weird Dick Tracy movie references, which I've seen many movies in my life and I've never seen Dick Tracy, so I couldn't actually expound upon that for you. I apologize.
Who's Coming to Dinner is
That
is the
too.
movie they're talking about. Yeah.
They talk about Dick Tracy too, like more than once, and I've never seen it. So,
Spencer Tracy is who they're talking about.
Spencer Tracy.
Yes.
Is he like the
Spencer
nephew of
Tracy
Dick
is
Tracy?
in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is about a biracial couple, Sydney, I never know how to say his last name, even though I've heard it a million times. Sydney Poitier?
Sidney Poitier, yes.
Yeah. Is the
that
young
makes-
man. And so he's referencing that. That's what it's about.
Okay. That makes much more sense because I was like, Dick Tracy, that was kind of a cartoonish mobster.
It is Spencer
See,
Tracy.
This is the subtitles coming into play. Point for Sally.
Yes.
No point for Andrea.
You're welcome.
And then we move to Josh's second session of his deposition. This time Sam is with him because Sam is also a real lawyer. And he probably wouldn't charge
Can
Josh.
I just say that when Sam spouts all of his little lawyer, when he goes into lawyer mode and he's doing business, I'm not mad at that. It was pretty. It was pretty attractive.
Yeah, that was a good thing. I mean, he puts the smack down as a lawyer. That's what I wrote down.
He really does.
Josh gets real hyped up too because they've obtained Leo's medical records illegally somehow. And the guy goes, "That's my problem." And then Josh grabs the dude by the collar, which you can't do that, but
no.
He relents, but then Sam comes in. He just says like, "You're a cheap hack. If you come after Leo, I'm gonna bust you like a piñata."
That was a great line. I loved watching Sam say that line because you're just like, yes, get him, Sam. It's just so fun. It's so fun to watch them be protective of Leo. And because Sam's kind of a goofy character a lot of the time. I mean, he's very naive and laid back and whatever, like probably like 80 to 90% of the time. And so to see him come in and sort of, like you said, lay the smackdown on, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great role. Way to go, Rob Lowe. We love you lots. You should probably listen to his audiobook, Stories I Only Tell My Friends, because it's pretty awesome. Okay, so now is when we actually meet Lord John Marbury. I think we've talked about him a good bit. So CJ gives the background about Lord John Marbury to someone on the phone, which, again, is a brilliant way to accomplish the plot exposition of, like, who this guy is and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then from there, we move to another CJ and Toby scene where Toby is basically apologizing, but is in the worst way, and it's actually really cute.
It is really cute. It's very sweet. I mean, again, it's one of those moments that makes you think, like, what's going on? Because Toby's not the type to apologize. Especially because I think he thinks that what they did is right. So, like, I think he thinks they didn't have a choice. So it's interesting that he would come apologize to her. It's sweet.
Yes, he cares about the embarrassment and the loss of credibility it might have cost her, and he cares about that as about her as a person. And it was just cute because it was that whole like, I'm here to apologize. All right, well,
go ahead.
Just saying that you're here to apologize doesn't mean you have.
Right.
So I liked it. It was cute. And then we have an extended shot of Sam in his office, which is the first we've had in a while, I would say. And I just made a note, like, it's such a good role for him, like we were saying. So I enjoy Rob on the show. And Mandy comes to see Sam, and he basically tells her, you can work for us or you can work for them, but you can't do both, baby girl. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
Which is true. I mean, we're all for bipartisanship, but I just think if you're a staffer at the White House, I don't think you work for the other party. I don't know. I agree.
Yeah,
Sam,
it's
you're
strange.
Right. Yeah.
And then I think we moved to Lord John Marbury in the Oval, and Leo says, I don't even think the accent's real.
I wrote down that line too. That's really funny.
And
he says he thinks I'm the butler.
Yes.
And Bartlett says, for the first couple of weeks, so did I. Very funny.
Sorkin. We'll give you all the gold stars that we have in our pockets for that. And then we have to pivot to the situation with Leo and the fact that, the story's going to break. They had to stop the deposition before answering some questions, and they're at that point where they can't shy away from it anymore. So Sam and Toby and Josh are in Leo's office, and I just feel bad for Leo. It's just a really vulnerable situation, but the boys and CJ and Margaret, they're all ready to go to bat for him. And I just wrote down, I love these people.
I know. It really is. I wrote down all the feels because it is. It's just, they're just a family, and they are just ready to go at it for Leo, and it's a very touching scene.
Yeah, this is a better episode than I remember. I think I skip it a lot because of
it probably gets. Yeah, I mean, and I think it gets overshadowed because the one right after it, our next episode, no spoilers, is one of my favorites.
Really?
It is, yeah, I think so. Maybe it's just, I mean, we'll get to it, but when I'm like flipping through, I'm always going to click on the,
episode 12, not 11.
Yeah, episode 12.
But yeah, I did. I enjoyed episode 11. I thought it was
because Lord John Marbury actually kind of gets on my nerves. I mean, I like him as a character, but like he's so whatever that I'm just like, I don't really feel like watching him. So
yeah, that's why I think
skipped.
That's why I skip it too. But there's great, like the CJ and Toby stuff in this episode is great. The Sam and Josh stuff is great.
Yes. Charlie and Zoe.
So yeah, there's
a lot of like every other plot line is great.
A lot of hidden gems. So if you had to pick an MVP for this episode, who would it be?
I think it's probably going to be it's kind of a tie between Josh and Sam, but I think it's probably going to be Sam.
Yes, Sam.
I think him dealing with the Mandy thing and being
yes.
But mostly dealing with the Leo thing, being in the deposition and the line about I'm going to bust you like a piñata.
Yeah,
I think he just sort of his part in it gets a little understated because Josh is obviously Leo's like number one warrior dude, but Sam is there just as much. Plus, I always want to give it to Josh. So
I know in more ways than one. Am I right? But somebody get me a drum set. Cool. Well, I think that wraps it up then. Episode 11, Lord John Marbury. Yep. We liked it, and we're ready for episode 12, which is. Do we know?
He shall from time to time.
It's kind of a weird,
isn't it? Or from time to time he shall. It's something like that. He shall from time to time.
We'll see when we get there. So we'll catch you in the next ep, y'all.
Yep.
Keep on winging it. See you later.